You're listening to CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living. To learn more about who we are, what we do, and how we do it, call toll-free 1-866-928-3310, and we'll send you out a no-obligation information kit absolutely free. 866-928-3310. The CFRN Emini Futures Cast is now on Stitcher. Listen to us on your iPhone, Android phones, BlackBerry, and WebOS phones. Stitcher is smart radio for your phone. Find it in your app store or at Stitcher.com. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
Are you ready, Steve? Andy? Yeah! Bert? Well, all right, fellas. Let's go!
You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/CFRN. Over 85,000 titles. Choose from mystery, romance, religion, science, technology, business, New York Times bestsellers, even children's books. You name it, Audible has it. With 85,000 titles to choose from, you're sure to find the perfect audiobook for yourself or to give as a gift, and it's absolutely free. Just point your browser to audibletrial.com/CFRN. That's audibletrial.com/CFRN. And become a part of the audiobook revolution by downloading your free audiobook today. audibletrial.com/CFRN.
Hey, trader, want to get rich quick? Well, good luck with that. If, on the other hand, you actually want to learn how to trade, the place to be is www.cfrn.net. Tune in Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern for our daily devotional, and then spend the next 3 hours learning how it's done from professional traders who actually trade for a living. That's www.cfrn.net. Every trading day from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things Emini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro, and even T-bills. Joining us today from our studios in Boston, Mr. Michael Bork. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Tuesday, 26th day of September, 2017. Hope you're having a great Tuesday, wherever you are. Thanks for joining us. If you're returning, welcome back. If you're here for the first time, a special welcome to you. I've got the chart of the S&P 500 Emini Futures up. If you cannot see my screen, go to our homepage at cfrn.net. On the right-hand side of the page, click the big microphone, follow the instructions, and within about 30 seconds, you'll be registered through the end of the month. Come the 1st of October, you register again, and then you're good for the end. You only have to register once per month. The other option is our YouTube channel streams live for 2 hours from 12 to 2 p.m. Eastern. Go to youtube.com/CFRN/live. You'll see the charts, and you'll have access to a chat box there as well. Okay? Now, we're going to move quickly because Michael is doing a webinar this afternoon, and when he pops in here in a moment to give you a recap of everything that happened today in the live training room. He will provide you with a link to attend the webinar. If you are on the trial with us this week, I highly encourage you to attend the webinar. Anything that you miss on the radio show today, you can always watch the archive later this afternoon at emini.cfrn.net or on the YouTube channel. We're going to take a quick look at the numbers around the world. As you can see, these are last week's zones, but this 95-96 has been an area where the market has been sort of stuck for some time. And here we are today, 2 weeks into this, and where are we? Hovering just above 95-96. Okay, starting with the U.S. markets, the Dow is currently up 9 points. NASDAQ is up 12.5. S&P 500 is up a little over 2. And the Russell 2000 is up 5. Now, everything's green, but those are some pretty low numbers. I think Janet Yellen is going to speak this afternoon, and so the markets may get real quiet as they wait to hear what it is she has to share. In the commodity basket, crude oil down 26 cents, which is 0.5%, trading 51.96 last. And gold down $8, it's over 0.5%, trading 1303.50 last. In the Asian markets, the Nikkei is down, or closed the session down, 67 points. Shanghai was positive by 2 points, and the Hang Seng closed up 12. No movers, no shakers in that bunch. And European markets were mixed because the FTSE was in the red, down 15 points. The DAX was slightly positive, up 10 points. And the CAC was up 1.5 points. So quiet markets continue. We had this morning at the opening bell a little bit of movement overnight. Most of the overnight session was spent in or just above or just below that 95-96 area. And we're back inside of it again. All right. As far as any headlines, we'll hold off on those for the moment. We'll let Michael come in and do a recap of what transpired in the training room today so that he can get prepared for his webinar, which comes at 1:15 Eastern. And again, he'll provide you with the link for that. So Michael, if you're ready, you can come on in. I see you, but I don't hear you.
Oops, that second mic button was not set. Okay.
Okay.
There we go.
Now
So
I can see you and hear you. So I'll hit mute, and I'll be here when you're done.
Okay. All right. I am ready. Hang on, I do have to bring this thing up. Here it is. And that wonderful page. All right, here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Tuesday, the 26th day of September, 2017. Today, in the live training room, it says sign up for the CFRN live training room, 100% free trial user indicators on our strategy. Click here. Now, when you click there, that's going to bring you to this page. It's a terribly complicated page where we just ask for your email, your first name, and how you found us. You hit that submit button, and then you'll be sent a confirmation link. Okay. Once once you do that, Helen's speaking now. She's not supposed to speak till 12:45. Once you do that, you'll be sent all the information you need to get into our live training room. Okay, everything you need to get into the training room will be sent to you directly. This is the link for the 1:15 meeting, just so you all have it. There you go. That is the link for the 1:15 meeting this afternoon. And all right, so that is how you get the free trial. Now, if you can read the spreadsheet, you read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Okay, today we made 6 ticks in the Russell and 10 ticks in Crude to get us to plus 130. It was a really slow day today. It took us 39 minutes in one trade to get to our goal for the day, but we only had a total of 3 opportunities this morning. So this recap is likely to be pretty quick. Okay, so on the month now we're at 1520 over 17 days, averaging 89 a day. And on the year, 26,382 over 181 days, averaging 145 a day. Okay. Yeah, so that's that stuff. Now, let's look here. See, gold started over here, and it just whipped around back and forth across the BBC, back down, back up, and yeah, and we had really nothing in here. I was waiting for it to get down below this level right here. That's why I didn't move my trend line anymore once I first drew it. Then I looked back and saw, okay, we're just whipping around in this area. So we got lower highs and higher lows in gold. Not a single opportunity, given what we normally do. Okay, given the trade setups that we normally use, not a single opportunity. Okay. The euro. The euro was a mess as well. It started out right in here, gave a leg down, then just really choppy sideways action. Gave another leg down, and another leg down, but the slingshot was not right in here. Right in here, it looks like I missed one there and I missed one there. And since then, it's been totally flat. Totally flat. Okay. Crude oil. Let's see here. Crude had some pretty good action right here at the beginning that I missed. There was one there, and one there. Right at, well, between 925 and 935. When it changed directions here, though, we picked up on that. We got our goal for the day right there with 10 ticks. We missed the follow-up right there. Missed one there and got a break even there. Since then, that's it. Okay, on the Russell. Let's see. We had a momentum trade there that we missed. And then this one right here. Now, this was interesting because, see, price came down. And as price was coming down, I want to go over this because one of the fellows in the room asked about it this morning. Now, the rules are pretty simple. We have to be trending. So start with being trending. All right. So right in here, this bounce off the BBC right here, we weren't trending. Then we broke dynamic resistance. We started to trend. It gave a long opportunity there that I missed, and it pulled away. It came back down. Now right here, where it hit the BBC and it closed up, you see how we still have this bar right here, and we didn't adjust? Well, right here, it came down, and we would have to adjust for this bar. Okay, we would have to adjust our trend line for this bar because we have a wick that's sticking up. Okay, and so it ends up like that. And we have this bar right here that hit the BBC and closed up, but the cycle's the wrong color, so we don't have a trade right there. Then right in here, we have a wick that's sticking up above the trend line, where normally you would think you have to adjust your trend line. But once price hits the BBC, then that trend line stays where it is. You don't adjust it anymore. Now there are 2 things that are going to happen. Well, 3 things, possibly. One is the black step line is going to cross below the BBC, disqualifying the trade. 2, is the cycle is going to go down at a 45-degree angle, like way over here, disqualifying the trade, or 3, you're going to get an up close above that trend line. If you get the up close above the trend line before either of those other 2 things happen, then you have a valid trade setup. Okay, so right in here, we had a valid trade setup. Does everybody get that? I know there's a bunch of partners out there that this may be a new thing too. Because I don't have to say it very often because it doesn't happen very often. But so you still get a valid trade setup there. Okay. Now, as it turns out, it didn't put in a higher swing and it sold off. And that was the end of the day for the Russell. Okay, in here we have lower highs, higher lows. These markets are just a mess. Okay, I just wanted to go through that in detail because it's not something that happens very often. Here on the ES, there was one shorting opportunity right here. One shorting opportunity right there. And that's it. Okay. All right. All right. Now, 9/26. That is today, September 26th. Okay. I'm sorry, we made 6 ticks on the Russell and 10 ticks on Crude. So we're plus 130 total. All right. Took us 39 minutes and 1 trade to get to our goal for the day, at $100 a contract, and we took a total of 3 trade opportunities. That puts us up $15.20 on the month. Over 17 days, averaging $89 per day. On the year now, 26,382. That's over 181 days, averaging 145 per day. 145 per day. Okay. All right. And if you have not taken a free trial with us, just go to the homepage here at cfrn.net. Right up at the top where it says sign up for the CFRN live training room, 100% free trial, user indicators, learn our strategy, click here. If you click there, then you will be sent actually, if you click there, you'll be sent to this page. Put in your email, your first name, and how you found us, hit submit, you'll be sent to confirmation link. You must click on that confirmation link. Okay, if you don't click on the confirmation link, then, well, then you don't get a free trial. Okay, and that's it, guys. That was our day, and I suspect that the day is going to be pretty quiet until Yellen is done. All right.
My soft skin secret?
Let's just take a quick look before I pass it back out to Studio in fabulous Phoenix, Arizona. Take a quick look at tomorrow's stuff. Tomorrow morning we have 4 durable goods orders coming up. Durable goods orders, pending home sales, and crude inventories. Those are all high impact. Well, actually, one of them is medium impact. 2 of them are medium impact. But we do have some high impact news tomorrow, so we should have some, hopefully, good volatility tomorrow. All right. So with that, I will pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona.
Okay.
Studio A.
Got it.
Studio A overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. I have to finish it now.
You got it.
Right.
You got it.
Thank you.
Okay, recap of the recap was?
39 minutes, 1 trade, $100 per contract.
Awesome. Good job.
Yes.
And you've already put the link in the chat box?
I have. I have indeed.
My chat box isn't lit up.
I did put it there.
No biggie. No biggie. All right, Michael. Well, thank you, sir.
Yes.
I know you got to get
You're welcome.
to your whatever it is you got to do.
Yes, get to the setup for the next one.
Yeah.
Just coming up.
And again, if you're on the trial, I highly encourage you to go so that there won't be. It's not like the live training room in the morning where it's where Michael's actually trading. It's more about showing you some different things and being available to really answer your questions in detail. So
yes, and the questions can be about the morning session too.
Sure, absolutely.
So I encourage you to go, and I will start it up shortly. All right.
All right, buddy.
All right.
Sir.
I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, guys. We're going to just want to make sure that the YouTube is online, and it is. Beautiful. Okay. Couple things in the news, but of course the big news, I guess, for today is that Janet Yellen is speaking. I think different Fed heads are speaking off and on throughout the week. It turns out, if you're a fan of Showtime, or Showtime's Homeland, you may have helped hackers mine cryptocurrencies without even knowing it. A hacker added code to several websites of CBS's Showtime network that stole computing power from online visitors in order to mine digital currencies, offering a new twist on illicit profiteering from the boom in cryptocurrencies. The exploit was discovered over the weekend, and the unauthorized code was removed by Monday. Showtime's popular shows include Homeland, Billions, and Shameless. I watched Homeland a couple seasons worth, but it kind of got repetitive. After the main character, well, I don't want to, let me not spoil it for anyone that hasn't seen it, but about 3 seasons in, it just lost its flavor. For me. Billions is coming back for its 3rd season. It was kind of up in the air, and that's about the hedge fund up in Connecticut. So anyway, new coins in digital currencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum are created through the number crunching of mathematical calculations that verify transactions. That typically requires banks of high-powered computers gobbling huge amounts of electricity and cutting into the profits of mining the new coins. The unknown hacker or hacker used the CBS websites to get around that cost by, in effect, hijacking the processing power of visitors to the site to run a mining program for a digital currency called Monero. Using JavaScript code, the hackers were able to gain up to 60% of the processing capacity of visitors' computers to mine Monero, one of the many smaller alternatives to leading currency Bitcoin that have cropped up over the past few years. Each Monero digital coin is worth more than $94. The currency bills itself as a secure, private, and untraceable cryptocurrency. Code was placed in sections of the website that appeared to be part of analytic software from online data analysis firm New Relic. Showtime did not immediately respond for comments from Fortune magazine, who brought this to the public's attention. New Relic said it was not responsible for the hacking. We take the security of our browser agent extremely seriously and have multiple controls in place to detect malicious and unauthorized modification of its script at various points along its development and deployment pipeline. Upon reviewing our products and code, the HTML comments shown in the screenshot that are referencing New Relic were not injected by New Relic's agents. It appears they were added to the website by its developers. The Showtime hack wasn't the first appearance of the JavaScript mining code. Last week, the Pirate Bay, the popular web search site for BitTorrent files, added similar code to use visitors' computers to mine Monero. The site fessed up to the maneuvers in a blog post, saying the idea was to raise money to finance the site without needing to rely on advertising. As you may have noticed, we are testing a Monero JavaScript miner, the website noted. This is only a test. We really want to get rid of all the ads, but we also need money to keep the site running. And if you don't know what Pirate Bay is, you can always Google it and find out. These types of sites, this guy, Kim.com, he's been to jail before. I think he's got some charges pending somewhere, and he's headed back. Speaking of hacking, the Equifax CEO, he's out of there. The consumer data giant targeted in a hack that has exposed the personal data of nearly half the U.S. population, said their CEO, Richard Smith, will retire as chairman of the board and as CEO effective today. Mark Fiedler, a board member, has been appointed as non-executive chairman, and Paulino Diego Barros Jr. There we go. Who most recently served as president of Asia Pacific, has been appointed interim CEO. The board will be looking for a new permanent CEO. The board remains deeply concerned about and totally focused on the cybersecurity incident. We were working intensely to support consumers and make the necessary changes to minimize the risk that something like this never happens again. Speaking for everyone on the board, I sincerely apologize. We have formed a special committee of the board to focus on the issues arising from the incident and to ensure that all appropriate actions are taken. Smith is the latest person from Equifax to leave. Last week, the company announced that the consumer data firm's CIO, David Webb, and its chief security officer, Susan Malden, were also retiring. Webb will be replaced by Mark Rollwasser, who joined the company last year, and Malden will be replaced by Russ Ayers. Equifax reported earlier this month a massive data breach, saying hackers may have accessed the personal details, including names and social security numbers, of more than 143 million consumers. And it just had everything to do with not applying the security patches that were sent to them. Workers in the main Equifax office and satellite offices had passwords like password, or sometimes two-digit or two-letter passwords. The hack is being investigated by the FTC and has prompted promises for inquiries in both the Senate and House of Representatives. Equifax officials are also being investigated by the U.S. Justice Department after selling stock before the company revealed a data breach that exposed all of the personal information of millions of Americans. And, you know, the biggest part of the story, other than you have to be on guard now, 3 senior executives dumped almost $2 million worth of stock days after the company learned of the breach, but before the public was told. Now, an email statement from the credit monitoring agency said the executives had no knowledge of the breach. They just got lucky and decided to sell their shares. Wow. They must be living right. Okay, in other news, Jared Kushner. Oh boy. What is it with these email servers? Why don't they just use Gmail? I mean, Abe Lowell, a top Washington lawyer, exchanged emails on Monday with a prankster posing as his client, Jared Kushner, at one point telling the prankster he needed to see all emails sent and received from a private email account Kushner had set up in December. Maybe it was Gmail. The exchange, which the prankster provided to Business Insider, comes as Kushner, the senior White House advisor, who's the son-in-law of President Donald Trump, is dealing with his own minor email scandal and offers a window into how his team is responding in its initial stages. Politico reported on Sunday that Kushner had used a private email address to communicate with top White House officials, including the former Chief of Staff, Reince Priebus, and former Chief Strategist, Steve Bannon. New York Times reported on Monday night that as many as 6 top White House officials, including Priebus and Bannon, had used private email accounts to discuss White House matters. What could they possibly be thinking after this whole Hillary Gate thing? How could they not know that's really not a good idea? There's some kind of monstrous street sweeper outside my window. Now, Kushner's attorney, his exchange with the man posing as Kushner marks the second time this month that a top lawyer representing a senior White House official corresponded with the prankster thinking he was a colleague or client. The White House Special Counsel Ty Cobb disclosed information about the FBI's Russia investigation to the prankster earlier this month, thinking he was the White House social media director, Dan Scavino. On Monday, the prankster wrote to Lowell from the email address kushner.jared@mail.com, asking what he should do with some correspondence on my private email featuring adult content. Can I remove these? The prankster asked. Lowell responded, forwarded or received from White House officials. The prankster replied, I think one was forwarded from a White House official. We had discussed a shared interest of sorts. It was unsolicited. Then there are a handful more, but not from officials. I need to see all emails between you and the White House, Lowell wrote. We need to send any emails, any officials' emails to your White House account. Not stuff like you asked about. None of these are going anywhere. But we can bury it, the prankster responded. I'm so embarrassed. It's fairly specialist stuff. Half-naked women on a trampoline, standing on Lego scenes, the tag for the movie, hashtag standing on the little people. Lowell replied, don't delete, don't send to anyone, let's chat in a bit. Lowell has now declined to comment on the record when asked about the exchange. He said in a previous statement that fewer than 100 emails from January through August were either sent to or returned by Mr. Kushner to colleagues in the White House from his personal email account. All non-personal emails were forwarded to his official address, and all have been preserved in any event. A lawyer should never make. Renato Mariotti, a former federal prosecutor, said he was shocked to learn that Kushner's lawyer did not review the relevant emails before issuing a statement, making assertions about what was in them and how many there were. A lawyer should never issue a public statement based solely on the client's recollection, because clients could forget key details or be less than forthcoming with their attorney. Now, this prankster, I gotta believe he impersonating the president's son-in-law. That's gotta be breaking some kind of rule somewhere, somehow. I don't know. Karen says, Yellen speaking now. Okay, you had put that in earlier. Fuad says, I like Billions. Yeah, it's an interesting show. It's a little rough around the edges, but it does pique the interest of what goes on inside of these firms and how they make their money. This is really interesting. Apple ditched Microsoft for Google to power Siri. Wow, if that helps Siri come up with better answers to your questions, then this is a huge move. Search results on Siri, iOS, and Spotlight on Mac will now default to Google's search engine as opposed to Bing. I have tried so hard to make Siri useful, and wake me up at a certain time. That's okay. Remind me to do something on a certain day at a certain time. That's okay. But if you just try to ask a question, it seems like all I can get back is, this is what I found on the web about whatever question I just asked. Well, I can do a Google search myself, because now I've still got to click the link and go read and find the answer that I'm looking for. Microsoft is replacing their Skype for Business with a new Microsoft Teams service. Microsoft is starting to integrate LinkedIn inside of Office 365. China has blocked messaging service WhatsApp almost entirely. Now Chinese users won't be able to send WhatsApp messages following this summer's crackdown on multimedia messages and video chats. Google has launched its $350 Project Jacquard jacket in collaboration with Levi's. Its smart sleeves contain sensors woven inside the fabric that allow the user to perform certain actions preset via an app just by touching it. Wired clothing. Do we really need this? More than a year after it was announced, and 2 years after we first saw a demonstration of touch-sensitive fabric, the Levi jacket with a smart sleeve is finally on sale. I've been wearing this Levi commuter trucker jacket for a few days, and it's very nice. It fits well, looks great, and by swiping or tapping the fabric on the left cuff, I've been able to control my smartphone. You could just take your smartphone out of your pocket and control it. Whether those things add up to a $350 value, that's the cost of the jacket, is entirely a different question. It's targeted at people who commute by bike. Oh, okay, so on your bike it's difficult to pull out your smartphone. And I think the only people beyond that target market are going to be a few techies and people who just really like jean jackets. It works with both Android and iPhone, by the way. A standard Levi's trucker jacket costs $148, though Levi's has been quick to point out that designer denim jackets can run well over $400. I'm no fashion critic, but I can tell you I'm impressed with the fit and look of this one. When you talk to both Levi's and Google, they're very eager to tell a design story about this jacket, not just a technology story. It comes out of a partnership between the clothing company and a small division of Google dedicated to experimentation. We've seen lots of weird projects inside Google's ATAP, ATAP, but most of them, like the ill-fated Project Era, have ended up getting scuttled. I agree, Fuad. There's enough technology around me. I don't need my clothing wired. I mean, it just... How does it work? As I said, you attach a small little tag to the left cuff of the jacket. You then pair it to an app on your phone and go through a little tutorial that sets up the 3 different gestures you can configure You can brush in, brush out, and double tap. There's a fourth gesture, just holding your hand on the fabric, which is hard-coded to just shutting your phone up. The idea is that when you're on a bike, you can just reach over and brush your sleeve to interact with your phone and get audio cues. It's certainly a lot safer than, messing with your actual touchscreen when you ride. But is it any more convenient than, say, smart controls on a Bluetooth headset? Probably not, but it's a neat thing. Again, Levi's and Google are trying to sell you on a nice jacket that does some extra stuff, not just on a gadget's technical capabilities. Well, I'm gonna pass. Yeah, I don't see any place for that in my life. Amazon is dropping the price of 4K movies and TV shows, now ranging from $5 to $19. They're dropping them now ranging from $5 to $19, down from a maximum of $30. The move comes as a response to Apple's launch of its new Apple TV 4K. And, it's like with the Beats headphones. If you're a true audiophile, maybe you can tell the difference between the Beats Super headphones and the earbuds that come with your iPhone. I really can't. And when I look at a 4K TV, is it nice? Yeah. Is it that big a deal? Not so much. But hey, it's all the rage, and all the cool kids are definitely watching it. All right, looks like John is with us, so let's jump over and see what he's got for us today. Hey, John, welcome to the show.
Hello there.
How are you?
How are you doing? Not too bad. Got some good news for you. I'll talk to you afterwards on that project that you asked me to.
Oh, okay.
To get done for you. We have a couple of options actually, so I think we're looking good. Listen, this is a very weird market going on here today. We caught this early rally. We actually went long yesterday afternoon. We kind of caught the lows yesterday for this bounce, but the bounce has been a bit of a problem. And actually called the lows on Apple yesterday. There was an article about some guy saying how low would it go, and I said lows are probably in for a bounce. But right now we're getting a sell signal because the market is acting kind of a bit ugly here. Not entirely ugly, but because the mid cap continues to be pretty strong, and that's kind of a good thing. Also, the Dow looks like it might be bottoming here, and maybe even the Nasdaq after this. It's a bit of a pullback here, but it seems to be having trouble getting above. Initially it got up this morning to 5,900, sold off, and then it rallied up to this 58.90, sold off, and now it's kind of in limbo. But the Nvidias and things are not acting very well today. However, the star of the day, the star of the show, is the transports. Just made a new all-time record high at 97.64, and it just got to about 97.74, and has pulled back a little bit, but that's a very big deal. You got to be a little bit careful because it's sort of a double top against the previous high. The worst case scenario would be if the transports were to turn down from here, and I would sell them if that was the case, and start to give up this great rally that we've just had. That would be kind of a death knell, if you like, because the market's acting a lot more bearish than usual in the last few days. I don't think yesterday's any doubt about that. And is that the S&P? What's that on the chart?
This is the Dow right here.
Yeah. See, if we break that, we're trying to rally right now, but if we break that low today, it could go down a lot. IBM is very strong today for some reason, but Microsoft is very weak. I think I call the highs on BABA and Baidu a few days back, they were screaming higher, and we went in and put some sell stops just under the market, and they caught this last downturn. But Baba's looking particularly weak today, and the whole Chinese situation is I mean, that's probably the biggest risk in the world today, is the Chinese market, because it's starting to turn down. And if you look at Baba on a daily, it's clearly broken what was a meteoric uptrend that started in January, and it's lasted all the way through to mid-September, and it's broken that uptrend now. And I think
Microsoft had some pretty good news out today. I'm surprised you say they're trading lower.
Yeah, well, it's sort of the old story, anticipate and sell on the news kind of thing.
Yeah, now I was referring to the deal with Apple. Siri is now going to default to the no.
Bing?
No. It already wait a minute. I was confused there for a minute. That's actually bad news for Microsoft. It's good news for Google.
Yeah.
Siri is now going to default to the Google search engine as opposed to the Bing search engine. So
yeah, that's
now
a big deal.
now that makes sense. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that rally that we caught that rally yesterday, but we sold this. That early high in the stocks we basically sold, and right now it's not looking too good. The drug stocks are looking very weak today. Look at LABU. After a great a couple of days, a few days ago, had a great new high, and now it's breaking down. However, if you look at a kind of an intraday chart, you could argue that there's a bit of a three-wave pullback developing in this thing. So I would say, if we get down to the low 70s, we might be looking at a potential rebuy on the LABU, and and that would coincide with some sort of a miraculous turnaround on this healthcare bill. I don't know why Trump doesn't emphasize. He kind of makes things hard for himself sometimes by not nailing the point in the easiest way to understand. I mean, if I was trying to get this bill passed, I would be lamenting the fact that innocent people who can't afford health insurance have to pay a tax for not doing so. I mean, that is just absolute. It's not just un-American. It's an absolute outrage. It's a complete and utter ripoff. And that's what they should be. That's a vote getter. I think it's got some stupid name like mandate or something. I mean, people don't understand what a mandate is. You got to spell it out to the real truth that 3 million people have had to pay $200 or more in this ridiculous tax, which is just robbery. It's just robbery from the people. There's no other word for it. It's just sickening. And how Obama, I mean, he's the real culprit. How he could have passed, that's what I'd be doing. I'd be hammering on him all day, saying, how could this guy have passed such an onerous and punishing bill to people who haven't got $2 to rub together? It's just immoral.
Now, tell me more about this. I'm not familiar with it.
Well, the people, the whole idea behind Obamacare was that the people, the people, the healthy people, young people, are going to sign up in droves, right? Supposedly by now it should be at 27 or 28 million or going on 30 million. They only got to 16 million or 15 million, maybe less, and that's why it's imploding, because it's not getting enough revenues in to fund the system. That's the problem. So it's really a bit, that's the story. And they have to come up with a different means of doing it, and there's no easy way out. That's why it's such a hard thing to get done. But the most immoral part of it is that this guy, remember this fellow who was behind the whole thing, and one day he blurted out, or he got caught on a mic saying the American people are dumb or stupid or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was a huge scandal about that. I mean, he's the architect of this absolutely immoral clause in this thing, where people who did not have enough money to pay to get into the system had to pay a fine. I mean, I don't even know how they managed to levy that on people, but I think the average price is probably about, I think it's 3 million paid in, and they got 6 billion in revenues off it, or something close to that, or maybe it's the other way around. But look, there's a lot of maybe it's 6 million paid and they got 3 billion revenues. Maybe that's the real story, something like that. But it's just disgusting, and that's I mean, you've got, that is something that most people, 99% of the people that are walking down the street don't even know that, unless they've been personally involved in it. And they need to be, the whole public needs to be made aware of that. By the way, the gold, is after being up. We actually sold the gold and the silver last night, shorted it. We got out about 13.15 and a half. 17.27, and it's down to 16.08 or so right now. Just actually put a buy stop in a short while ago above the market in the gold. We probably got to execute it back in. I wouldn't hold your breath. I'd probably, if it turns down again, we'd probably resell it. And we also sold the copper up around 296. This kind of action in the metals is not very good. And especially Royal Gold, which topped out at 93 and is now at 89 and 60, is also pretty bearish looking. We got back into the dusts this morning, and the dusts have taken a pretty big hike to the upside. They're coming off a bit right now. We could be retesting all those on gold. If we go up from here, it would be miraculous. It's going to take some effort for that to happen, because generally speaking, when you get a rally up to like 13.16, it comes all the way back down again. It's not a very good sign. On the other hand, we also sold the energy last night near the highs, and it came down this morning, and we rebought, and the energy is, near the lows, and the energy is kind of trying to go back up again. But the products, gasoline may have peaked. The heating oil also may have peaked, at least in the short term, because it got pretty overstretched to the upside yesterday. So we'll see how far this rally goes, but I think if it starts showing signs of faltering, you'd want to be reselling the energy sector, because it might come back. The oil might come back and test the 50 and a half breakout level, using your theory, and also the same with the gasoline. This gasoline can get alleviated very quickly when it gets these kind of spike type, shortages. Most things are getting back online, including the refineries. So this afternoon's API numbers and tomorrow's, Cushing numbers could be very telling in terms of which way the energy is going to go. I'd have to say if we do record some sort of giant down, shortage or deficit in the oil, we might see anywhere from an upturn to an explosive upturn, even higher. But I'm not sure if we're there yet, or whether there's got to be a bit more work to be done in this range before the markets turn higher.
So that's on crude. Now, crude ran up at the beginning of the week. It made a fast run up to. Oh, that's not the chart I want.
52.40. 52.40.
Yeah, it already spiked our highest weekly trading zone for crude this week, which was 52.20/25. And when that happens so early in the week, typically what we see is price reverse and head in the opposite direction. So that's still not the right chart. GCL. I guess this is the only one I got. No, that's not it. So you think What's your projection for the remainder of the week? Let's ask that.
For the energy,
Yeah.
I think you still have to err on the high side, on the higher side. Or at least a retest of the highs. Unless some sort of a big surplus comes in. If any kind of a surplus comes in this afternoon, I think the energy markets might take quite a setback. Remember, we're getting what Ed was saying the other day. We do have this seasonal thing where it does tend to get weak in October, November time. You can't disregard that. Even though we might think it's going to be different this year. So we're just topping a little bit at the 52 level right now after being down as low as 51.50 last night, or this morning rather. So, it feels it's probably going to be marking time here way ahead of the news this afternoon.
What time do those numbers come out?
Around about 4 o'clock, or shortly after 4. Usually.
Is Yellen still speaking right now?
I don't know. She probably is. She's supposed to speak today.
The markets were awfully quiet, pretty much around the world.
Yeah, I mean, the way you had the S&P there a second ago, right? It was looking like it was going to. Was trying to turn up again, and it is actually doing that. So,
yeah. Anytime we hit the highest weekly zone this early in the week, like we did on crude, and we'll typically see it head in the other direction as the week progresses. But of course, that's going to have to do with these inventory numbers that are coming out. Go back, take a look at the S&P again. Yeah, this is the S&P. We're stuck in the middle of this range, and this 24.95-96 area. It's been like quicksand. The market's just been stuck there for a couple of weeks. Just keeps coming back to it.
Yeah, I think. Look, in a way, I don't. The market's acting a bit more bearishly than it has in a while, especially after yesterday. But in the larger scheme of things, I think that base building going on in the S&P is pretty bullish. If we start breaking out of above this 25.10 area, we could actually be there's quite a possibility we could have a sustained up move 50 to 100 points in the S&P. That's something really big. And one of the other bullish things going on today is that the mid cap is really acting pretty well. It's not giving up much ground at all. And it's just been making close to new all-time highs along with the Russell. So that's really, really bullish. I mean, between those two, the transports and the mid-cap being up as high as they are, leading the market higher, is actually really, really bullish, potentially very bullish for the market. So, it just needs the NASDAQ to get back on track, which it's starting to do. Excuse me. And if the NASDAQ starts leading, to new highs again, and it's going to take some work to get up there, because all of a sudden we've gone from being in the 5900s to the 5800s. So it gives you some, we've got to claw our way back, more than 150 NASDAQ points to hit a new high. It's quite a run. But this tax thing is part of the problem. It doesn't look like it's going to be 15% corporate. It looks like it's going to be 20. But 20 is not still a pretty good number, but it isn't the best number. I think 15 would be huge if they can get it. Did you see this interview with Bannon yesterday on Hannity?
No, I did not. What did he have to say?
Well, it was kind of a good interview. You know, he kind of like maybe he's being humbled a bit, and he seemed to be very pro-Trump. You know, very 100% in spite of the tensions that have been going on for most of the year between all this White House stuff. He was very, very, very. You know, he left no doubt about where his loyalties lie. But what he did point out is something we've been saying on this show for a long time. You know, what these, you know, up themselves Republicans, there's no other way to describe them. You know, they're so pompous, these guys. They think the world owes them a living, and it's really Trump. You know, that it's Trump that they owe, because if it wasn't for Trump and his revitalization of the Republican Party, half of these guys wouldn't even be in power right now. They wouldn't even be in a seat. So they're not, you know, they're not showing their loyalty. The Republicans should be 100% for the party and for the progress, and should not have any dissenters. These dissenters are just bad news, and you know, it's how do you say? It's absolutely provable, if you like, that the people who were backing Trump in the final days of the campaign were the ones who won. The people who went against Trump lost. So how many of the, and look, you know, even Ryan and McConnell and a lot of these guys really thought, you know, there was going to be a catastrophe at this election, and that they were all going to be out, and Hillary was going to be in, and the exact opposite happened. And you know, they haven't really kind of lived up to expectations of the voters who put them back in power, or kept them in power, and that to me is very disappointing.
Back on the healthcare, there was a question.
Oh, another thing I wanted to mention is just get to the healthcare in a minute. You know, I keep saying how hard it is to please the American people. Now, you'd think that after all the drama over the weekend with Trump, that his numbers would be down. At least yesterday they were up. And let's see what they are today. No, they're back down again. So it didn't last very long, but they got up to 44 yesterday. But it looks like they're back down again today. So here, look at this. 69% of Democrats say Trump is a bigger threat than North Korea's Rocket Man. I mean, give me. Where are these people coming from? You know.
Oh God.
Yeah.
And then this email issue with the White House again. Oh, you know, what? Didn't they learn anything from this Hillary fiasco? And some prankster's been emailing Kushner's attorney, pretending to be him, and the attorney fell for it. It's just a nightmare.
Say that again? What happened?
Some prankster has been emailing Jared Kushner's attorney and telling him how he, you know, had been sending some emails and they had some adult content in them and blah, blah, blah. And so he emailed him back thinking it was Kushner, and then he issued a statement, and come to find out that it wasn't Kushner on the other side of the keyboard. It was this prankster who has now come out, told the story, shown the emails. I don't know how much of a problem this is going to present for them, but man, maybe they should just do away with email for the White House.
Good point. Good point.
Now, Fuad in the audience had asked, what do you think of the viability of a single-payer healthcare system for the U.S.?
Well, I think it's a good idea. You know, I think that you have to. I think the Australian system is the one that the model that they should be adopting, because of the you know, we have to pay. It just look. I think they have to pay 20%, and they can have an insurance system that covers that 20% as well. So it's kind of the perfect system because, it doesn't. It means that the average citizen doesn't get burdened with 100% insurance coverage because the government takes care of that. But they can either elect to pay 20%, for a doctor's visit. If the doctor charges $100, you pay $20. But the point is, it cuts out a lot of these, unnecessary visits, and a lot of people who go to the doctor for, for conversation or sympathy or something.
Right.
And
there's a lot of that.
Yeah. So, I think it would streamline the system tremendously. And of course, it effectively cuts, 20% out of the cost of the system, possibly more. Probably cuts 30 or 40% out of the system if you add in all the unnecessary stuff that goes on. And more importantly, it keeps costs under control because everybody's feeling it in the back pocket in one way or another, either from an insurance, even if they're covered by insurance, or if they actually pay the 20%. So I think it's a great idea. Probably long overdue.
We got to do something,
Yeah.
Canadians and Europeans complain about their healthcare system, but at least they have some healthcare. I know there's a lot of waiting lists, and it may not be convenient, but at least it's there. Here, you have people who are paying so much in healthcare premiums that when they get sick, they can't afford to go to the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this Obamacare, solved nothing. It only created more problems, and why the current administration cannot get it sorted out and straightened out, I cannot understand. Everybody was pretty happy with it the way it was. Why can't we just put it back that way?
Mm-hmm.
Is there something that prevents that? Instead of having to come up with some new idea or this or that, just put it back like it was. I think most people were pretty happy with the way it was.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
If you could not afford to go to the doctor, hospitals here in America are mandated that if you go in and you're sick, they got to see you. They got to take care of you. And yes, there may be a bill that shows up in the mail at some point, but if you are at the level where you can't afford insurance and you can't afford to go to the doctor, chances are that your financial situation, your credit is already kind of a bit of a mess, and so I just think it could have been done differently. But Obama, this was his hallmark legislation. This was, the crown jewel of his presidency.
Yeah. There's too much sentimentality going on with the Democrats and that thing, It's just crazy. That's what it's all about, They just want to kind of continue there's no logic to it. They're just trying to keep this Obamacare for the sake of a past legacy. What's the point in doing that? It's crazy.
I agree. Well, the NQ's trying to come back. I don't know what Yellen is still talking, it looks like. She's talking about inflation.
When she finishes a speech, it usually markets usually rally, so might be anticipating that ahead of time.
Could be.
Now the things are really starting to look better. Even the LABU starting to go up right now. So I think the market's gonna looks like it's gonna try and get back up from here. I'd be inclined to stay with it here right now, and I would only sell if we break down probably below about 15.85 or that. I'd give it a bit of a chance to rally here. So and I wouldn't worry too much about the Dow. The Dow can be going the other way, but if everything does turn down again, I'd have to go with it and go short.
Yeah, going short 22.230 is our line in the sand to go short. So.
Yeah.
All right, John. Well, listen. Thanks for everything. Is there anything else you want to cover today?
No, I think we got it covered. I'll be back to you. And just the one thing, that crazy woman, Congresswoman out of California, the one who says that Trump will get us into a nuclear war if the U.S. is attacked. How about that?
Trump will get us into a nuclear war if we're attacked. How ridiculous. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
One positive thing that's going on here today is the VIXs. The SPs and the XIV. They're starting to make new highs. That's a pretty, and they're very close to all-time highs actually. Let's just check it out. Yeah, they are on the point of breaking out to all-time highs. That look, when these things get up around close to $100, the $100 tends to be like a magnet, and and that would support our idea that the S&P is going to in fact the S&P is going to break out here any minute. It's going to go like a rocket higher by the looks of it.
All right, John, I'll let you get that.
Okay.
We'll talk to
Thanks
you soon.
a lot. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. All right, guys, and I'm going to let the rest of you head over to Mike's webinar. If you haven't been to one of the Tuesday webinars, you really need to go and check it out. Whether you're on the trial or just a long-time member of the general community, I highly encourage you to go see what he has to say, because it's stuff that you won't see in the live training room. And of course, he's more than happy to answer any and all questions that you might have. So you do that, and we'll meet back here same time tomorrow. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading Emini Futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.